Hello class, thank you for coming to my week 2 discussion board. The agency and job position that I chose to focus on was a senior building inspector position that came out for the city of Pomona. Here are a few examples of minimum qualifications to apply, such as education and experience, license and certificates, and essential job duties. I interviewed the lead senior building inspector. He sits on the hiring panel during interviews. He's considered supervisory staff, and he helps and gives opinions as to who to hire after interviews are done. Phase 1 screening is done by supervisory staff and the building official. On the last day of application submissions, the staff will go through the applications and look at education, certifications, and experience to make sure that they match with the qualifications that are required to get the job. If they meet those requirements, then they will pass them on to the next phase. Something that they also look at in phase 1 is application completion and clarity. In phase 2, they try to choose the 5 most top qualified candidates. Some considerations that they look at when it comes to ranking candidates is years of experience, education, licenses, and ICC certifications, which are from the International Code Council for residential, commercial, plumbing, electrical certifications. There is no major testing process, and biodata is also concerned. I asked my interviewee about the 10 considerations for interviews, and we went over them one by one. They do follow by the first consideration because they do plan for the interview in terms of setting the types of questions that they are going to ask. During the interview itself, for the second consideration, they do explain basic facts of the position and explain the job duties as well as what will be expected of the applicant. 3, we couldn't find a correlation. 4, the interview is conducted in a private setting. They usually choose a conference room that isn't in use to conduct interviews. 5, there is a concentration on the candidate's answers to make sure that the candidate is answering the questions correctly. 6, as mentioned during the first consideration, there is a specific list of questions that is used. These questions are made up by the supervisory staff and are reviewed with human resources. These questions do correlate with job duties. 7, behaviorally anchored questions are used during the interview process. 8, when I asked if they ever make oral commitments at the interview, I was advised that no, all communication about the job are made via mail and phone calls from the HR department to the candidate. They never want to give the candidate false hope. 9, notes are completed while they do the interviews, often writing notes as they conduct the interview. And 10, ADA requirements are observed. Something that I was advised was that there were 2 interviews involved in the hiring process. The first interview was a structured interview, which was conducted by the supervisor, a manager, and lead senior inspector. The second interview was comprised of an unstructured model and was more of a meet and greet with the building official / chief. In phase 3, after the interviews, A single candidate is identified depending on interview answers and the qualifications, determining if the candidate is a good fit for the department. Further, references are called and a list of backup candidates is made, usually two or three others. A job offer will be given, and they will negotiate over the salary. Now, salary negotiations are usually handled by HR, and all communication is done via phone and email through official channels. Once a job offer is given and accepted, it is moved to phase 4, where drug tests are done, a background check is done, and once a candidate is hired, a 6-month probationary period is conducted with evaluations. The new employee must also attend a city orientation to discuss benefits, um, policies, and procedure. Thank you for coming to my presentation.